I think I have a new favourite WNBA player. There, I said it. I think I do. Paige Bueckers has caught my attention, and I'm ready to already put her at the top of my list in terms of WNBA players I like. She's just got something completely different about her game that I'm drawn to, and let's compare her to Diana Taurasi, because maybe that's what clickbait is. Maybe that will get people's attention, people watching. But for real, I actually do have a comparison to Diana Taurasi, so maybe this is how you hook people, so stay tuned. All right, everyone has favorites. It doesn't matter how old we get, you have favorites. Favorite players, favorite foods. Where am I going with this? Favorite players in the WNBA. I have not been a long-serving fan of the WNBA in terms of like a full-on watch. Watch every game, but pay attention to every game's box score. Watch as many games as you can. I haven't been that type of fan for very long. And that kind of brings me into talking about Diana Taurasi. But I'm going to touch on her later. I'm talking about Paige Bueckers straight away because she just has a certain flow to her game. And I hate to be predictable in terms of, hey, if you say to anyone in the year 2025 who's a WNBA fan and they tell you that they have a favorite player, who do you think they're going to say it might be? Caitlin Clark is obviously number one. Number two, Paige Bueckers. Probably. Or it might be someone like Angel Reese or one of these big names. So I hate to be predictable in that sense, but I am going to be predictable because, as I said, there's something special about Paige when you watch her. When I watch her, I'm just drawn into her style of play. And it doesn't even stop on court. It goes off court because does every single person like Paige, even in the league? Like, I'm talking players here. You hear opposition players, and Sophie Cunningham, actually, she's got a new podcast, by the way, so check that one out. But she came out and said how much she loves Paige. And this is from one of the sort of like most outspoken, most aggressive sort of on-court players that, I don't know, she's got that knack to her. She's got that feistiness to her in a good way. But this is what she even talks about Paige, who is an opposition member, might I remind you.
Okay, first look at Paige Bueckers.
Yeah.
How do we feel? Like, what?
I love her.
Do you have a relationship off the court at all, or do you just love her as a b-ball player?
No, I don't really have a relationship with her off
Doesn't
the
even
court,
have a relationship.
but I just
That's
love
fine.
her vibe and her energy. Like, I just think that she is a good freaking human. She really is. She's just like a great teammate, and she's a phenomenal leader. And like, I am all for that.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably gonna get Rookie of the Year, as she should. So there's this one play where second half, she like went to the left and I cut her off. And she did like a step through and like banked it.
Good
We were
insight,
there, so the whole
actually.
crowd's like, ooh. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's a good move. And we were running back. And she goes, hey, I traveled on that last one. And I was like, I kind of thought you did. You know what I mean? But like, we were just like talking it up or something. And then like, I fouled, but it wasn't a foul. They called it. And I told our coaches to challenge it. I think she was like, yeah, they should challenge that. I was like, I know. I was like, well, they never listened to me.
Do you think you get as light of a whistle as the NBA on traveling?
No, there's nothing like the NBA when it comes to their traveling.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that.
There's nothing like it.
Well, that kind of that last bit had nothing to do with Paige, so I could have just cut that there. But in saying that, she speaks to her personality and just like joking around on court, and just everyone seems to like her. Like literally, even the players. That's what I'm talking about. It's not just like her teammates or people from college, UConn, that are actually talking about her. Fans, number one, I don't think I ever see a negative comment, which is very rare on the internet, about Paige Bueckers. Everyone just sort of seems to get her or talk her up or highlight her best traits. I don't know. There's something about her. And if I'm wrong, I'd love to actually see I actually wouldn't love to see negative comments, but I would be surprised. I'd be shocked if there was literally nothing, because nobody's a fan. Actually, everyone, how do you say this? Everyone's not a fan of one person. Like, there's always haters, is what I'm trying to say there. But I've not seen people actually go at Paige. So it's kind of interesting in that capacity. So it has something to do with her attitude, her coachability, her personality. Maybe she's just super likable. And that's why I'm sort of claiming that she's already one of my favorite players to watch, if not my favorite player. A reason. I see highlights and I literally get FOMO from not watching live games, and I kind of want to go back and watch live games because highlights are different. Like, yes, I was watching it before. I'm just like, you obviously know what's going to happen. It's this weird kind of quirk about highlights that it's like, yes, obviously it's cool to watch them and obviously you get some sort of insight. But if every single ball is going in that you watch, if every single defensive play that they highlight is going to be a block, is it really that? It honestly doesn't doesn't paint the proper picture. So I really want to watch her games live, and I still need to do more of that because her game is just so smooth. Like, I've always been a sucker for mid-range games, like NBA finals, playoffs. They always come out in that time of year, but it's the same with WNBA, and WNBA almost have more of it because it relies less on like these sort of like. Actually, it's not even the athleticism aspect. It's more like the three-point era in the NBA. Sometimes there's just too much going on in WNBA. WNBA is almost like a refreshing brand of basketball still. If you're like me and you kind of do get sick of the threes being hoisted every so often, you want to see someone attack the rim. And WNBA does that. You want to see someone work in the mid-range. And Paige Bueckers does that. She's just so savvy already, and she can get her shot off even if she's not the tallest player out there. For whatever reason, she's already got that in her bag that she can shoot those over her defenders. So there's just something so different about her game that glues me in. The replays you see of her crossovers. I'm not a big... This leads me into like her ISO game. Her ISO ball, like, I'm not a big fan as in like, I don't really love players over dribbling the ball, pounding it too much and just sort of creating their own. Like, yes, every single fan probably likes aspects of that. And if you watch it, you see Kyrie Irving and those people. Kyrie's in a different element of his own. Like, you can watch him dribble the rock dribble the air out of the rock, and you're going to be like, this is awesome because he has a certain flow to him. But Paige has that flow as well. Like, I could watch her dribble the ball and just see what she has to do, because even though you're labeling her as a scorer already. I think she's around 20, like 16 to 20 a game, something like that. As a rookie, as an all-star rookie, mind you. You could label her as a scorer, but in a weird kind of way, people have said she's not selfish enough. She could be more selfish, which I think is another reason why I absolutely love sort of how she plays. She may be a scorer, she may be more talented offensively than anyone else on her team, but she still wants to get them involved. She doesn't want to take these shitty shots. She doesn't want to take bad shots. She just seems like an awesome teammate in that regard. But what I was trying to say with the ISO ball is I'm not a massive fan of watching that, but when Paige does it, there's something different. I don't know. Just the way she flows, it's almost like smoother than so many other players. Maybe it's because they actually result in buckets and they actually result in space created. Whereas if it doesn't, it obviously looks ugly. That one makes a lot of sense. But let me just say, there's something special about her art form in games, and I like describing players' type of game and their style as an art form, because that's what it is. Now, I alluded to this at the start. Let's be a bit clickbaity here. I compare her to Diana Taurasi, and do you want to know why? It is not about her game style. It is not about her potential. Because Diana Taurasi is arguably the GOAT. She's the best ever in this league. So to compare anyone to her, to throw anyone's name in the same sentence as Taurasi's is silly. So I will do that anyway. Paige, okay, this is why. I look at Diana Taurasi. I look at previous highlights of her. Obviously, she's no longer playing. She's the GOAT. I look at previous highlights of her as in like rookie highlights or early day highlights. And there's a certain flow to her game that I look at and I'm like, man, I wish I watched her when she was younger. I wish I got into the WNBA earlier purely to watch players like her. So this is why I'm comparing Diana to Paige, because I feel like with Paige, we've got an opportunity to watch her for her entire career from year one, from day one. So that is why I sort of draw the comparison of she's already destined to be a star. She is. You're a rookie all-star in your first year, and you're doing what she does. You're doing what she does. Efficient-wise, I swear every box score, I'm like, that's great efficiency, especially for a rookie. So that's the reason I compare her to Diana, because I feel like it's going to be awesome to follow her career from day one, and that's why I want to sort of invest my time and watch more of Paige, because she's just awesome already. And she's going to have growing pains. Like, everything's not going to be smooth sailing. Like, Dallas's record is not good. There's all these things. I also want to see what she's like on defense a bit more, because most of her highlights and like people talking about her is offense. I want to see more of her defense. Let's see what she's like on that side. I haven't even seen that much of her on that side, to be honest, because you get so drawn into what she's doing in offense. But things like that. But I just really want to watch Paige from the get-go, from this year one, even rewatch what she's like and like compare that to what she's going to be like next year, 3, 4 years down the track, 5 years, 10 years. Diana Taurasi's age. See what she's like back then and be like, I was sort of around and I watched her and I understood her game from when she was 21, 22, 23, whatever she is now. I think that's awesome. So I thought it'd be cool to go through some other favorite players in the league just to throw some comparisons in there, even though in my heart of hearts, I think Paige is she's definitely right there, number one right now, because there's just something different about her. So if I want to separate them, she's number one. Anyway, Jade Melbourne. Did you expect that name? Now, I will preface this. I'm Australian, so obviously there's going to be an Australian angle to some of these players. Actually, it's only one. I could have easily put maybe one or two more. But Jade Melbourne was what made me sort of choose Seattle Storm as my team in the WNBA, and kind of what made me was like, hey, I want to get into the WNBA more. Jade Melbourne was the reason. She's like a true blue Aussie. You can't really get any more Australian than Jade. She's a fun character. I've met her a few times down here in Australia, and she just seems really likable and chill. And that draws me in. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to follow her. I'm going to follow Seattle. Obviously, she got traded and is balling out. She's doing pretty well. She's starting for Washington Mystics, who have a really young team that are exciting to watch. But she's basically the reason I kind of got into the WNBA a bit more. I'm like, there are Australians legit playing, and she was in like early days of Seattle, but it was still that potential factor. Like, what could she become? What is she becoming? Can she become a starter? Check that box. Yes, she can. So she's obviously another one when you talk about like origins and why I got into the game. Easily up there. You go down the list with a few younger players because, as I said, if you get into the WNBA properly only a few years ago, you're probably going to glue onto the new kind of players that come into the league, the rookies, the sophomores. But that leads me nicely to Rickea Jackson, because last year I was like, who is this rookie? She seems awesome. She seems cool. She just had flashes of really cool players, offensively and defensively, and she seemed like she really competed. Obviously, since then, she's like, people know who she is now. She's like does a lot of off-court stuff, like interviews on the orange carpet and stuff of that nature. She kind of has a good brand around her now. Like, people know who she is in a good way. But her sophomore season this year has been really good as well. 3-level scorer is the term you always hear with her. She can score from mid-range, she can score from close, she can score from 3. People always say she's like in the boat of some of the best scorers in the league already, especially because of how young she is. I keep hitting my chin on this microphone. Next one, actually, I'll end with a veteran player after these two. Two more, and then we'll end on a veteran player just because I have to spread the love. But this is one. Sonia Citron, obviously a rookie this year. But I was watching, even today, she had like 25 points, 4 or 5 from deep. She might have my favorite looking jump shot in the league right now. There's something nice about the way that ball spins off her fingers. But she's just very all-rounded, and there's something about her. She's like a quiet assassin, which I like. I like those type of players. They're not loud, outspoken. They kind of just go about their business. The interview, I think Sue Bird did an interview on her podcast with both Sonia Citron and Irfan, her teammate, rookie teammates, both all-stars, the Washington duo. She got them on, and Sonia was like, she's got like a quiet confidence. Like, she's not like I wouldn't say like a super shy person, but she's very softly spoken, even in interview setting like that. So go watch that. It's quite fascinating just to get a taste of her personality. And I'm sure, you put the camera on, people are going to act different. You're going to act quieter, but it's quite fascinating to see how quiet of a personality she seems off the court, but on the court as well. I respect her both, on and off the court. Haley Jones. This is an interesting one because when she was with Atlanta, it's probably 2 seasons ago, she was like, I can't recall her draft pick, what she was drafted, but she was a high pick. I might as well just Google it now. She was a high pick, and I'm like, what can she become? What can she consistently bring? And that's probably still a question mark, honestly. 6th overall pick, as you can see clearly. Like, you kind of expect a lot from the 6th pick eventually. And unfortunately, it didn't really work out with her in Atlanta. She just, I like, it's kind of hard finding her niche in the league right now. But that kind of leads me into where she is now. She's starting for Dallas next to Paige Bueckers. She's doing really well. She seems to be one of the most consistent performers for them over the past however many games. And I find her story of persistence and sort of like trials and tribulations sort of going up and down from, removing yourself from Atlanta. Clearly, it didn't really work there, especially being a high pick. But you find your niche in the league. You find your spot in the league, and it seems like Dallas is her home for right now. So she was one I kind of glued onto early days. She also came down to Australia to play in the WNBL, so that helps as well. Last one, Kalia Copper. Now, this was around the time where I was like, okay, this is a really cool brand of basketball, the WNBA. I want to get more into it. It was when Kalia Copper was with Chicago Sky. She was aggressive. She had the offensive game. She had the defensive game. She was probably at the peak of her game from as far as I know. Right now, she's with Phoenix. She still pops up with... She may have been dealing with some injuries this season and whatnot. But watching her on that playoff stage and sort of the atmosphere that she brought to Chicago and her type of play style really drew me into her. So she's another one of my favorites. But look, if we're being honest, Paige is probably... she probably is my favorite player right now. There's just something completely different about her on and off the court. So it's always a good exercise sort of going through why you like some players in the league. And I'll finish on this. I absolutely love sort of being, quote unquote, being there. Just a person, just a fan, enjoying the game, honestly. But being there from the start with players and like seeing them grow, seeing what they do in their career and almost like understanding every single thing they've been through. It just feels cool. It feels cool to be on that journey with them, quote unquote, behind a screen, having absolutely nothing to do with them, but talking about them and enjoying it. But it still does. It's a good feeling. So just watch Paige Bueckers because I'm going to watch her more. I'm going to compare her to Diana Taurasi more purely from the fact that I wish I watched Diana when she was younger. And she has that flow and swagger to her game that Paige really does. And I feel like, do people sort of have that asshole factor about Diana Taurasi, as in like she's an asshole on court, or she can be really hard as a teammate or harsh as a teammate? I don't know if Paige has that. I'm sure she has that aggression and passion at times, but we'll see how that comparison goes.